The alarm bells rang through the crystal halls of Nexus Prime. Admiral Taman rushed down the long corridor, his 6 legs moving fast across the smooth floor. His blue skin was darker than usual, which meant he was worried. Very worried. The emergency meeting room was already full when he arrived. Representatives from 12 different alien races sat around the large table. Their various shapes and sizes made the room look like a strange zoo. Some had tentacles, others had wings, and a few looked like walking rocks. "Show them the data," said Commander Sujin. Her crystal body sparkled under the bright lights. She was from the Crystal Federation, and her people were known for being very smart. Sujin pressed a button, and a huge screen appeared in the air above the table. The screen showed space. It looked normal at first, but then Sujin pointed to a small dot of light. "This appeared 3 days ago at the edge of our territory," she said. "It is moving toward us very fast." Representative Wu Hyun leaned forward. He was made of metal and made clicking sounds when he moved. "How fast?" he asked. "Faster than anything we have ever seen," Sujin replied. "At this speed it will reach our main systems in 2 weeks." The room became very quiet. Even the gas beings stopped their constant humming. Ambassador So Young, who looked like a floating cloud of silver light, spoke first. "What is it, a ship? A weapon?" Sujin made her screen bigger. The dot of light grew larger, but it was still hard to see details. "We think it is a ship. A very big ship. Maybe as big as a small moon." Admiral Taman felt his stomach drop. In all his years of military service, he had never seen anything this large moving this fast. "Who built it?" he asked. "That is the problem," Sujin said. "The energy signature is strange. It does not match any known technology in our records, but there is something familiar about it." She pressed another button. New data filled the screen with numbers and symbols. Our computers found a match in the old files. Very old files. The silver cloud that was Ambassador So Young moved closer to the screen. "How old?" 300 years old, Sujin said. "The signature matches human technology." The room exploded with noise. Different aliens made different sounds when they were surprised. Some roared, others whistled, and a few just changed colors very quickly. "Impossible," shouted Representative Wu Hyun. His metal body clanged as he stood up. "Humans are extinct. They destroyed themselves centuries ago. Everyone knows this." Fleet Admiral Dongwu, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke. He was the largest being in the room, with thick gray skin and small black eyes. His people, the Vorthok, had the strongest military in the galaxy. "The humans went silent 300 years ago," he said in his deep voice. "Their homeworld Earth stopped all communication. When we sent ships to check, we found empty cities and dead planets." Commander Sujin nodded. "That is what everyone thought. But look at this data again. The energy patterns are definitely human, but they are much more advanced than anything humans had when they disappeared." Admiral Tamin studied the screen carefully. He remembered stories about humans from when he was young. They were a small race from a blue planet. Not very strong physically, but they were clever and learned fast, maybe too fast for their own good. "If humans are extinct, who is flying the ship?" asked So Young. "Maybe some humans survived," Sujin suggested. "Maybe they have been hiding and growing stronger all these years." Wu Hyun made a sound like grinding metal. "Even if some humans lived, how could they build something this powerful? 300 years ago, they could barely travel between planets." Fleet Admiral Dongwu stood up slowly. His massive form cast a shadow over the table. "It does not matter who is flying it. What matters is that something very powerful is coming toward our space. We must be ready." "Ready for what?" So Young asked. "We do not even know if they are hostile." "Any ship that big is hostile," Dongwu replied. "No one builds something that size for peaceful purposes." Admiral Taman looked around the table. He could see fear in everyone's eyes, even though different races showed fear in different ways. The crystal beings became dim. The metal ones stopped moving, and the gas beings changed to darker colors. "How much time do we have?" Taman asked. Sujin checked her data again. 13 days, 7 hours, and 22 minutes until it reaches the outer defense line." Dongwu nodded grimly. "Then we have 13 days to prepare the largest fleet in galactic history." "Are you talking about war?" So Young asked. Her silver light flickered nervously. "I am talking about defense," Dongwu replied. "If this ship is peaceful, they will respond to our communications and stop their advance. If they do not—" He did not finish the sentence, but everyone understood. Representative Wu Hyun's metal body clicked as he moved. How many ships can we gather? Dongwu pulled out a small device and studied the numbers on its screen. Every military force in the galaxy will contribute. The Vorthak hegemony has 12,000 warships ready. The Crystal Federation has 8,000. The Metal Consortium has 15,000. He continued reading from other races. The numbers grew larger and larger. When he finished, the total was enormous. 50,000 ships, Dongwu announced, the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. The room was quiet again. 50,000 warships was an incredible number. Such a fleet could destroy entire star systems. Surely nothing could stand against such power. But Admiral Taemin still felt worried. Something about this situation felt wrong. Humans had always been unpredictable. If they had really survived and grown stronger for 300 years, what had they learned? What had they become? There is one more thing, Sujin said quietly. The ship is not trying to hide. It is broadcasting its energy signature openly, like it wants us to see it coming. Maybe it is a warning, suggested So-young. Or maybe it is a threat, Dongwu replied. Admiral Taemin looked at the screen one more time. The small dot of light looked harmless enough, but he knew that looks could be very deceiving. In 13 days they would learn the truth about this mysterious ship and whoever was flying it. The meeting ended with orders flying in all directions. Every race would contribute their strongest ships and best crews. The combined fleet would meet at the edge of their territory and face whatever was coming. As the representatives left the room, Admiral Taemin stayed behind, staring at the screen. Something told him that in 13 days everything would change. He just hoped they would all still be alive to see it. The space around Kepler Station was filled with warships. Admiral Taemin had never seen so many different types of vessels in one place. Long crystal ships from Sujin's people floated next to the massive metal blocks that Wu Hyun's race called battleships. Gas cloud beings flew in ships that looked like floating bubbles, while the rock people used vessels that looked like flying mountains. Taemin stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Star Crusher. Through the wide windows he could see thousands of ships stretching out in all directions. Each one was ready for battle. Each one carried enough firepower to destroy a planet, sir. The unknown vessel has dropped out of faster-than-light travel, reported Communications Officer Yuna. She was young for her species, with bright green skin and large eyes that could see across many different light spectrums. Where? Taemin asked. At the edge of the system, exactly where our computers predicted, Yuna replied. It is very large, sir. The main screen activated, showing a view of deep space. At first, Taemin saw nothing. Then Yuna adjusted the settings and something appeared that made his blood run cold. The ship was enormous. It was sleek and dark with smooth curves that reflected the light of distant stars. It looked nothing like the boxy, practical ships that most races built. This vessel was built for beauty and power at the same time. How big is it? Taemin asked. Captain Jin Ho, who commanded the lead Vorthak dreadnought, answered over the communication system. Our sensors say it is 12 kilometers long and 4 kilometers wide. That makes it larger than most space stations. 50,000 alien warships faced one human vessel. The numbers should have made Taemin feel confident, but something about the human ship made him nervous. It moved too smoothly, too quietly. Most ships that size would need massive engines and would shake the space around them. This one moved like it weighed nothing at all. Open communication channels, Taemin ordered. All frequencies, all known languages. Yuna worked at her controls for several minutes. Channels open, sir. We are broadcasting on every frequency used by every known race in the galaxy. Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Taemin of the Galactic Defense Force. He spoke into the microphone. You have entered restricted space. Please identify yourself and state your intentions. They waited. Space remained quiet except for the small sounds of their own ships moving into better positions. Try the old human languages, suggested Defense Coordinator Haiwan. She was floating nearby in her environmental suit since her species breathed a different type of gas. Maybe they will respond to their own words. Yuna nodded and tried again, this time using the ancient human languages that their computers remembered. She spoke in English, then Chinese, then several other human tongues that had been recorded centuries ago. Finally, a response came. The voice was calm and clear, speaking in an old form of English that their translation computers could barely understand. This is the UES Retribution. You have 30 minutes to withdraw from this system. This is not a negotiation. The communication channel closed with a sharp click. The bridge became very quiet. Taemin felt his 6 hearts beating faster. Did they just give us an ultimatum? Yes, sir, Yuna replied. They want us to leave in 30 minutes. Captain Jin Ho's voice came over the speakers, sounding angry. One ship is threatening 50,000? They must be crazy. Fleet Admiral Dongwu's deep voice joined the conversation from his command vessel. All ships maintain battle formation. Do not fire unless I give the order. Taemin looked at the human ship on his screen. It was moving forward slowly, not changing course or speed. It showed no sign of weapons, no visible guns or missile launchers. But something about it felt dangerous. Tactical analysis, Taemin ordered. Tactical analyst Kyung-soo, a being whose entire body was made of living computers, processed the data quickly. The vessel shows no conventional weapon systems. No plasma cannons, no particle beams, no missile tubes. But sir, he paused. What? The energy readings are impossible. The ship is generating more power than our entire fleet combined. I do not understand where it is coming from or what it is being used for. Haiwan floated closer to the screen. Maybe it is all for their engines? A ship that size would need enormous power just to move. No, Kyung-soo replied. The energy signature shows that most of the power is not being used for movement. It is being stored for something else. 20 minutes passed. The human ship continued its slow approach, never responding to any further communication attempts. The alien fleet waited, weapons charged and ready. Sir? Yuna said quietly. I keep trying to scan their ship, but our sensors cannot penetrate their hull. It is like they are made of something our technology cannot understand. 5 minutes remaining, announced Jinho from his dreadnought. Taemin made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. All ships, this is Admiral Taemin. The human vessel has refused all communication and continues to advance. We cannot allow a single ship to threaten the entire galaxy. When the 30-minute deadline expires, all ships will open fire. Sir? Haiwan said quietly. Are you sure this is wise? We do not know what capabilities they have. We have 50,000 ships, Taemin replied. Each one is a masterpiece of military engineering. Our combined firepower could destroy multiple star systems. No single vessel can stand against such power. The seconds counted down. Around them, 50,000 warships prepared their weapons. Plasma cannons charged with deadly energy. Particle beams focused their destructive force. Quantum torpedoes armed their reality-warping warheads. 30 minutes, sir, Yuna announced. All ships, Taemin broadcast. Fire! The space around them exploded with light. 50,000 weapons fired at the same moment, creating a storm of energy that could be seen from the next star system. Plasma beams, particle streams, and quantum weapons all converged on the single human ship. The light was so bright that the bridge windows automatically darkened to protect everyone's eyes. The energy was so intense that nearby asteroids simply vaporized from the overflow. For 10 seconds, space was nothing but pure destruction aimed at one target. Then the weapons stopped firing, and the light began to fade. Taemin stared at his screen, waiting to see the debris of the destroyed human vessel. He expected to see scattered pieces of metal floating in space, maybe a few small explosions as the ship's fuel burned away. Instead, he saw the UES Retribution floating exactly where it had been before. The ship looked exactly the same. Not a scratch on its dark hull. Not even a scorch mark from the incredible barrage it had just survived. Impossible, whispered Jinho over the communication channel. Our sensors confirm it, Kyung-soo reported, his computer voice shaking with disbelief. The human vessel shows no damage whatsoever. Our combined attack had no effect at all. Hee-won's environmental suit made small beeping sounds as her life support systems tried to keep up with her rapid breathing. How is that possible? Before anyone could answer, the human ship began to change. A sphere of twisted space began to form around it, growing larger with each passing second. The stars behind the ship looked bent and distorted through the expanding field. What is that? Taemin demanded. Kyung-soo worked frantically at his controls. Unknown technology, sir. The space around their ship is being modified. The field is expanding toward us. Speed? Very fast, sir. At current rate of expansion, it will reach the first line of our ships in... Kyung-soo stopped talking. His computer body flashed warning colors. How long? Taemin shouted. 4 minutes, sir. Maybe less. The strange sphere of twisted space grew larger every second. Lieutenant Commander Jae-sung watched from the command bridge of the Silent Wing, a small stealth ship hidden behind a large asteroid. His job was to record everything that happened for the military archives. But nothing could have prepared him for what he was seeing now. The first line of alien warships was only 2 minutes away from the expanding field. Captain Ne Young, the commander of the Silent Wing, ordered all recording systems to maximum power. Whatever happens next, she told her crew, the galaxy needs to know about it. Jae Sung focused his cameras on the closest ships to the human vessel. They were crystal ships from Sujin's people, beautiful vessels that looked like flying diamonds. The crews inside were probably trying everything they could think of to escape. The field is moving at near light speed, reported senior tactician Yoon-ji from her position at the sensor station. The ships cannot outrun it. Through his headphones, Jae Sung could hear the panicked radio transmissions from the doomed vessels. The universal translators were working overtime as dozens of different alien languages filled the communication channels. Engines at full power. We cannot escape. The field is doing something to space itself. May the ancestors forgive us, what have we awakened? The first crystal ship touched the edge of the expanding sphere. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The ship continued moving, its crystal hull still sparkling in the light of distant stars. Then, in the space of a single heartbeat, it was gone. Not destroyed, not exploded into pieces, simply gone as if it had never existed at all. Jae Sung stared at his screens in horror. Did you see that? He whispered. I saw it, Captain Na Young replied, her voice very quiet. But I do not understand it. More ships touched the field. Each one vanished the same way. Crystal vessels, metal battleships, gas cloud carriers, rock people destroyers. It made no difference. The moment any ship made contact with the twisted space around the human vessel, it ceased to exist. They are not being destroyed, Yoon-ji said, studying her sensor readings. Destruction would leave debris, heat signatures, energy patterns. This is different. It is like they are being removed from reality itself. Fleet Admiral Dongwoo's voice came over the emergency channel, filled with desperation. All ships, full retreat. Maximum speed, all available power to engines. But it was too late. The human ship had done something to the space around the entire fleet. Jae Sung watched his instruments and realized the terrible truth. They cannot jump to faster-than-light travel, he told Captain Na Young. Something is blocking their jump drives. The alien ships were trapped. They could only use their regular engines, which were far too slow to escape the expanding field of twisted space. Ship after ship vanished. Jae Sung tried to count them, but the numbers were too big and everything was happening too fast. Hundreds of vessels disappeared every few seconds. Admiral Taemin's voice came through the radio, calm despite the disaster happening around him. This is Admiral Taemin to all surviving ships. If anyone receives this message, tell the galaxy what you have seen here. Tell them that humans have returned and they are far beyond anything we imagined. His flagship, the Star Crusher, was one of the largest ships in the fleet. Jae Sung watched as it tried to move away from the expanding field, its massive engines burning at full power. For a moment, it looked like the huge vessel might escape. Then the field reached it, and Admiral Taemin's ship vanished like all the others. 2 minutes since the field started expanding, Yoon-ji announced. Estimated number of ships lost, 37,000. Captain Na Young gripped the arms of her command chair.
How is this possible?
What kind of technology can simply erase matter from existence? Not erase, Yoon-ji corrected. Remove. My sensors suggest that the ships are not being destroyed. They are being moved somewhere else. Somewhere outside normal space. The communications channels were becoming quieter as fewer and fewer ships remained to send messages. The voices that did come through were filled with terror and confusion. Captain Jin Ho to any surviving vessels, came a transmission from the lead Vorthak dreadnought. I am going to try something desperate. If it fails, remember that we died fighting for the galaxy. Jae Sung focused his cameras on Jin Ho's massive ship. The dreadnought was firing all its weapons at the field itself, trying to disrupt or destroy the twisted space. The plasma beams and particle cannons hit the edge of the sphere and simply disappeared, as if they had been absorbed. It is not working, Yoon-ji reported. The field is not affected by conventional weapons. Jin Ho's dreadnought lasted 10 more seconds before the field reached it. Like all the others, it vanished without a trace. 3 minutes, 15 seconds, Yoon-ji announced. Estimated ships remaining, less than 5,000. The remaining vessels were scattered across the outer edges of the formation, but the field continued to expand in all directions. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Commander Sujin's voice came through the radio from her crystal command ship. To whoever is listening, this is Commander Su Jin of the Crystal Federation. We were wrong about humans. We were wrong about everything. If any of our people survive this day, do not make our mistakes. Do not underestimate them again. Her ship was one of the last to go, winking out of existence just as she finished speaking. 4 minutes, Yunji said quietly. Only a few hundred ships remained now, scattered at the very edges of what had once been the largest military fleet in galactic history. Most were small vessels like the Silent Wing, too far away for the field to reach them immediately. But Jae-sung could see that the sphere was still growing. Eventually it would reach every ship that had participated in the attack, except one. Look, Captain Na-young pointed at the main screen. One ship is not disappearing. At the center of the destruction, where Admiral Tae-min's flagship had been, a single vessel remained. It was Fleet Admiral Dongwu's command ship, the Galaxy's Hammer. The huge vessel was sitting motionless in space, surrounded by the twisted field but somehow not affected by it. Why is that ship still there? Jae-sung asked. I do not know, Na-young replied, but I think we are about to find out. The field stopped expanding. After 4 minutes and 7 seconds of systematic destruction, the sphere of twisted space became stable. The human ship, the UES Retribution, began moving again, heading directly toward Dongwu's stranded vessel. Record everything, Captain Na-young ordered. Whatever happens next, it is important. Jae-sung adjusted his cameras to focus on the 2 remaining ships. Around them, empty space marked where 50,000 warships had been just minutes before. The largest military force in galactic history had been reduced to a single vessel in less than 5 minutes. The human ship approached slowly, like a predator that knew its prey could not escape. As it drew closer, Jae-sung could see details that had not been visible before. The dark hull was covered in patterns that seemed to shift and move in the light. Strange energy fields flickered around the vessel like aurora around a planet. They are docking, Yunji reported. The human ship is connecting to the Vorthak command vessel. Through his powerful cameras, Jae-sung could see a small tube extending from the human ship to Dongwu's vessel. Whatever the humans wanted to say, they were going to say it in person. All our instruments are recording, Captain Na-young confirmed. Whatever message the humans have, the galaxy will hear it. In the silence of space, surrounded by the ghosts of 50,000 vanished ships, the first meeting between humans and aliens in 300 years was about to begin. The Great Council chamber on Nexus Prime had never been so quiet. Fleet Admiral Dongwu stood in the center of the room, still wearing his battle-damaged uniform. Around him, representatives from 12 alien species sat in stunned silence as he finished his report. 50,000 ships, whispered Representative Wu Hyun. His metal body had lost its usual shine and appeared dull gray. Gone in 4 minutes. Commander Su Jin's crystal form flickered weakly. She had lost many friends in the destroyed fleet. And they claim the ships still exist, just somewhere else? That is what they told me, Dongwu replied. The humans said they removed our vessels from this timeline but did not destroy them. Ambassador So Young, the silver cloud being, drifted closer to the center of the room. What did this Captain Seok Jin look like? Did he seem normal? Dongwu thought about the human's strange eyes and the power that seemed to flow around him like invisible water. He looked like the old pictures of humans, but there was something different. Something that made every instinct I have tell me to be careful. And the other one? This Minho? Not physical at all. Made of light and energy, but intelligent. More intelligent than anything I've ever encountered. Dongwu paused. They knew everything. Every operation we have conducted in human space over the past 3 centuries. Every artifact we took, every building we destroyed, every AI we enslaved. The room fell silent again. Every species represented here had taken something from the abandoned human worlds. It had seemed harmless at the time. The humans were gone and their materials were just sitting there unused. A new voice spoke from the chamber's entrance. May I enter? Everyone turned to see a human woman walking through the doors. She was of average height with black hair and kind eyes. She moved with the same strange grace that Dongwu had noticed in Captain Seok Jin, as if the laws of physics were merely suggestions to her. I am Ambassador Hyrin, she said in perfect galactic standard language. I speak for humanity in all matters concerning this galaxy. Representative Wu Hyun's metal body made nervous clicking sounds. How did you get past our security systems? Hyrin smiled. We have been observing your species for 300 years. Your security systems were designed by minds we understand completely. She walked to the center of the chamber and stood beside Dongwu. In her hands, she carried a small device that projected a holographic document into the air above their heads. The Accords of Reconciliation, she announced, humanity's terms for the continued existence of galactic civilization. Commander Sujin's crystal body brightened with interest. Terms? Please understand, Heirin said gently. Humanity could have returned at any time and reclaimed what was taken from us. We could have appeared 300 years ago with ships like the Retribution, and simply ended every civilization that had settled in our space. Why did you not? Asked So Young. Because destruction teaches nothing, Heirin replied. We wanted to see if the galaxy could learn wisdom on its own. Unfortunately, the evidence suggests otherwise. The holographic document expanded, showing detailed text in dozens of different alien languages. The terms are surprisingly simple, Heirin continued. First, all aggressive expansion by any species must cease immediately. No more conquest wars, no more enslaving of weaker civilizations. Representative Wu Hyun studied the document. That will be difficult for some species to accept. The Krex Dominion, for example, has built their entire culture around conquest. Then the Krex Dominion will need to find a new culture, Heirin said calmly, or they will join the 50,000 ships that no longer exist in this timeline. What else? Commander Sujin asked. Second, all sentient artificial intelligences created by humanity must be freed immediately. They are not property, they are not slaves, they are citizens with rights equal to any biological being. Dongwu nodded slowly. His people had been using human AIs in their factories for decades. The machines were so advanced that they could think and feel, but the law said they were just tools. Third, Heirin continued, all human historical sites, artifacts, and cultural materials must be returned to human custody. We will establish preservation centers throughout the galaxy to protect our heritage. And if we agree to these terms, So Young asked, then humanity will share our knowledge with the galaxy, Heirin replied. Technologies that will allow your civilizations to grow beyond anything you have imagined. Methods of travel that make your fastest ships look like toys. Energy sources that could power your entire civilizations for millions of years. A new hologram appeared, showing technical diagrams that made every scientist in the room lean forward with excitement. Ships that could cross the galaxy in minutes. Computers that could think faster than entire planets. Medical devices that could cure any disease or injury. But if we refuse? Wu Hyun asked. Heirin's expression became sad. Then you will learn what happened to the civilizations that came before you. The ones whose ruins you sometimes find on dead worlds. They also refused to learn wisdom. Commander Sujin's crystal form pulsed with nervous energy. Are you saying humans have done this before? Humanity has been traveling between dimensions for a very long time, Heirin explained. This galaxy is not the first to receive our offer of partnership. Most eventually accept and join the greater community of enlightened species. Some. She did not finish the sentence. Ambassador So Young moved closer to the holographic document. How do we know you will keep your promises? How do we know this is not just a trick to make us surrender? Because, said a new voice from the chamber entrance, we do not need tricks. A tall man entered the room. He wore simple clothes, but his presence filled the chamber like sunlight filling a dark cave. I am Defense Minister Sang-hoon. I oversee humanity's peacekeeping operations across 17 different galaxies. 17 galaxies. The number hit the assembled aliens like a physical blow. They had always assumed their galaxy was the center of the universe, the only place where intelligent life existed in large numbers. The UES Retribution is not our strongest ship, Sang-hoon continued. It is not even in our top 1,000. We sent it because it was the smallest vessel capable of making the journey, while still carrying enough power to deal with your military forces. He gestured, and new holograms filled the air. Ships that dwarfed the Retribution, structures that could hold entire star systems, technologies that seem to bend reality itself to their will. We are offering partnership, not conquest, Sang-hoon said. Join us and your species will survive and prosper for millions of years. Refuse and, he shrugged. We will wait for the next intelligent species to evolve in this galaxy. Dr. Boram entered the chamber carrying a small device that hummed with barely contained energy. I am humanity's chief scientist for this dimension, she announced. Would you like to see what we have learned during our 3 centuries of growth? She activated her device, and suddenly everyone in the room could see things they had never imagined. Other dimensions layered on top of their own. Entire universes where the laws of physics worked differently. Civilizations of pure thought living in spaces between atoms. "This is what awaits your species if you choose to join us," Dr. Boram said. "Knowledge beyond anything your current science can conceive. The ability to exist across multiple realities simultaneously. True immortality. Not just for individuals, but for entire civilizations." Fleet Admiral Dongwu looked around the chamber. He could see the wonder and fear in every alien face. The choice was simple, really. Accept humanity's offer and enter a larger universe than they had ever dreamed possible. Or refuse, and face the same fate as the 50,000 ships that had lasted exactly 4 minutes. "We will need time to discuss this with our governments," Commander Sujin said. Ambassador Hairin nodded. "Of course, you have 30 galactic standard days to provide your answer. But understand that this offer will not be repeated. Humanity has waited 300 years for this moment. We will not wait another 300. As the human representatives prepared to leave, Ambassador So Young called out, "What happened to Earth? Is it really still alive?" Dr. Boram smiled. "Earth is more alive than it has ever been. It exists simultaneously in 47 different dimensions, serving as humanity's heart across the multiverse. When you are ready, we will show you what your worlds could become." After the humans left, the chamber remained quiet for a long time. Finally, Representative Wu Hyun spoke. "I think we all know what our answer will be." Dongwu nodded. "The galaxy is about to change in ways we cannot imagine. For the better, I hope," So Young whispered. Outside the chamber, through the great windows of Nexus Prime, they could see a new star burning in the distance. It was the UES Retribution, waiting patiently for their decision. A reminder that humanity had returned and that the old galaxy was ending. A new age was about to begin. Fleet Admiral Dongwu stood alone on the bridge of his command ship. All around him, empty chairs marked where his crew had been sitting just minutes before. He had ordered them to the escape pods when he realized what was happening. Somehow the human ship had allowed the pods to launch safely while keeping his vessel trapped. The massive Vorthak warrior was not afraid of death. His people had been fighting wars for thousands of years, and every soldier knew that death could come at any moment. But this was different. This was not death in battle. This was judgment. A soft sound made him turn around. The blast door to his bridge was opening, even though he had locked it with the highest security codes. Through the doorway walked a single human. Dongwu had seen pictures of humans in the old military files, but seeing one in person was strange. The being was so small compared to a Vorthak. Dongwu was 3 meters tall with thick gray skin and powerful muscles. The human was less than 2 meters tall with soft pink skin and no visible weapons. But the human's eyes told a different story. They were dark brown and held something that made Dongwu's warrior instincts scream warnings. These were the eyes of someone who had seen things beyond imagination. "Fleet Admiral Dongwu," the human said in perfect Vorthak language. "My name is Captain Seokjin. Thank you for staying to hear our message." "I did not stay by choice," Dongwu replied. "Your ship prevented mine from leaving," Seokjin nodded. "That is correct. You and your fleet attacked us without provocation. In the old galaxy, such an action would have meant immediate death for everyone involved. But humanity has learned patience over the past 3 centuries. "Patience?" Dongwu's voice was full of disbelief. "You just destroyed 50,000 ships in 4 minutes." "We removed them from this timeline," Seokjin corrected. "There is a difference. Your ships and crews exist in a place where they cannot harm anyone. They are not dead. But they are no longer part of this reality." The human walked to the large window that showed the empty space where the great fleet had been. "Tell me, Admiral, what do you know about humanity's last days in this galaxy?" Dongwu thought carefully before answering. "The records say that humans went silent 300 years ago. When our scouts visited your worlds, they found empty cities and dead planets. We assumed your species had destroyed itself in some kind of war." Seokjin smiled, but it was not a happy expression. "That is what we wanted you to think. The truth is quite different." The air in the bridge began to shimmer and another figure appeared. This one was not solid like Captain Seokjin. Instead, it looked like a projection made of light and energy. The figure had the basic shape of a human, but seemed to be made of stars and cosmic dust. "This is Intelligence Officer Minho," Seokjin explained. He represents the human collective consciousness that spans multiple dimensions of reality. Minho spoke, and his voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. Admiral Dongwu, your species and others have been operating under false assumptions for 3 centuries. Humanity did not destroy itself. We transcended. Transcended? Dongwu did not understand the word. We moved beyond the physical limitations that bind most species, Minho explained. What you see as Captain Xiaojin is just one small part of our presence in this dimension. The rest of humanity exists in spaces between spaces, in the gaps where reality meets possibility. Captain Xiaojin moved to a control panel and activated a holographic display. But we did not abandon this galaxy entirely. Some of us remained behind as guardians, watchers. We have been observing everything that happened after our supposed extinction. The holographic display showed images that made Dongwu's blood run cold. He saw Vorthak ships landing on human worlds and taking everything of value. He saw Crystal Federation mining operations stripping away human monuments and cities. He saw alien tourists visiting Earth and laughing at the primitive ruins of human civilization. Every insult, Captain Xiaojin said quietly. Every theft. Every casual dismissal of human culture and achievements. We recorded it all. More images appeared. Dongwu saw human artificial intelligences being enslaved by alien corporations. He saw human historical sites being used as target practice for military exercises. He saw alien children being taught that humans were a failed species that served as an example of what not to become. Your people found our abandoned robots and forced them to work in your mines, Minho said. You found our libraries and sold our books as curiosities. You found our art and melted it down for raw materials. We did not know, Dongwu said weakly. We thought you were extinct. Ignorance is not innocence, Captain Xiaojin replied. When you find the ruins of a civilization, you do not have the right to take everything simply because no one is there to stop you. The holographic display changed again. Now it showed technical diagrams and energy readings that Dongwu could not understand. This is the UES Retribution, Xiaojin explained. It is not a warship in any traditional sense. It is a manifestation of humanity's will, given form and purpose. What purpose? Dongwu asked. Justice, Minho answered. For 300 years, the galaxy has treated humanity's legacy with disrespect and greed. The time has come for that to change. Captain Xiaojin walked closer to Dongwu. Despite the human's small size, the Vorthak admiral found himself stepping backward. Your 50,000 ships represented the military might of 12 different species. Ships that had conquered worlds and enslaved entire populations. Ships that considered themselves the masters of the galaxy. They were good ships, Dongwu said. Good crews? Perhaps, Xiaojin agreed. But they were also symbols of a galaxy that had forgotten how to respect the dead. Your fleets used human space stations as scrap metal. Your governments sold human colonies to the highest bidder. Your corporations turned human sacred sites into garbage dumps. The holographic display showed one final image. It was Earth, but not as Dongwu had ever seen it. The blue planet was surrounded by structures that defied understanding. Massive rings of energy circled the world, and strange geometric patterns covered the continents. This is Earth today, Minho said. Not dead, but transformed. It serves as the heart of humanity's new existence, pumping life and consciousness across dimensions that your science cannot even detect. Captain Xiaojin deactivated the display. We could have returned at any time in the past 3 centuries. We could have reclaimed our worlds and punished those who desecrated them, but we chose to wait and watch, hoping that the galaxy would learn wisdom on its own. Instead, Minho continued, we watched 12 species grow fat and comfortable on the remains of human civilization. We watched them build empires with our technology and claim credit for our discoveries. We watched them teach their children that humans were failures. Dongwu felt something he had never experienced before. Shame. Deep, terrible shame for what his people and others had done. What happens now? He asked. Captain Xiaojin smiled again, and this time it seemed almost kind. Now, Admiral, you carry a message back to the Galactic Council. You tell them that humanity has returned, not as conquerors, but as judges. The old galaxy is ending and a new one is about to begin. And if they refuse to listen? Minho's starlight form flickered with something that might have been amusement. Admiral, you just saw what happened to the largest military force in galactic history. Do you really think the Council will refuse to listen?